Wait, stop scrolling. This message? It found you for a reason, because this isn't just any video, and you're not just any person. You've always felt different, not better, not above, just set apart. You walk into rooms and pick up energies no one else feels. You sense things before they happen. People drain you or depend on you. And no matter how hard you try to blend in, something inside you keeps rising to the surface, whispering, "You weren't meant for average. You were meant for impact." Listen closely, because this is important. There's a shift happening, not just in the world, but inside you. You're being positioned, even now, for something bigger. And I don't mean material wealth alone. I mean a divine assignment, one that's going to place you in rooms you never imagined, with influence you didn't seek, and abundance that doesn't make human sense. You're not just about to become wealthy. You're about to become a millionaire with a mantle, a chosen vessel for wealth, not to show off, but to pour out, to fund visions, to bless those overlooked, to rebuild what others gave up on, because when God gives you favor, it's never just for you, it's through you. And right now, heaven is clearing space for what you're about to carry. So if this stirs something in you, chills, tears, a deep knowing, stay with me. Because over the next few minutes, we're going to unpack why your spiritual sensitivity has always been linked to your future influence, how your battles with lack and loneliness were training for overflow, why you, yes, you, were selected to carry wealth with divine purpose, and the 7 signs you're being prepared to step into millionaire status with a mantle of spiritual leadership. This is not motivation. This is confirmation. You're not behind, you're becoming. And this may be the most important message you hear all year. Before we continue, go ahead and drop a comment below saying, "I'm ready for mantle and mission." That's how we anchor this in your spirit and make space for alignment. Let's walk this path together. Thin, you're still here. That means you felt it too, that surge in your spirit. And that's not just emotion, that's activation. Something ancient inside you just got stirred. Now let's go deeper. You've had moments, quiet ones, where you just knew your life had meaning beyond the day-to-day. Moments where you thought, "There's no way I went through all this just to pay bills and survive." You were right. Because chosen ones don't go through average storms. They go through divine refinement. Think about it. Your life hasn't exactly been easy, has it? You've been through storms that would have crushed other people. You've had to carry burdens in silence, heartbreaks, betrayals, losses, and you still showed up. You still loved people. You still gave when you had nothing left. And all that pain, it wasn't random, it was training. You weren't being punished, you were being positioned. Because here's what nobody tells you about a mantle. Before you carry it, you have to be forged for it. You had to learn patience in delay. You had to learn humility in lack. You had to learn strength in isolation. Because what you're about to carry, influence, affluence, and spiritual power, can't be given to someone who hasn't been broken and rebuilt. It would crush them. But you've already walked through fire. You're fireproofed. And now you're being called into something uncommon. Not just to make money, but to multiply meaning. Not just to manifest a bank balance, but to become a vessel for blessing. There's a reason you've always seen life differently. Why you could never settle for shallow things. Why you questioned everything. Why you craved depth when everyone else wanted distraction. Because you were always meant to carry both wealth and wisdom. Yes, you're going to become a millionaire, but not by playing the world's game. You're going to walk into it with alignment, vision, and divine favor. This isn't hustle culture. This is Holy Spirit strategy. You're being assigned a mantle of financial leadership, and with that mantle comes the ability to build when others only talk, the discernment to know what to invest in and who to walk away from, the emotional maturity to not let money become your identity, and the spiritual authority to release wealth that heals, restores, and uplifts. You're not just getting rich, you're becoming dangerous to darkness, because a chosen one with wealth is a threat to every system that profits off poverty, fear, and spiritual ignorance. And that's why the warfare on your life has been so intense. You weren't being delayed. You were being disguised, hidden, protected, refined. Because if you would have stepped into the spotlight too soon, the weight would have broken you. Or worse, it would have made you forget who gave it to you. But now, you're ready. You've seen enough to stay grounded. They said you were dreaming too big. They said you were crazy for believing God would bless someone like you with that kind of favor, influence, and wealth. But they didn't see the late nights. They didn't hear the prayers you whispered through tears. They didn't feel the weight you carried in silence. They didn't witness the quiet moments where you wanted to give up, but didn't. And now, they're going to see the fruit. But let's be clear, this is not about revenge. This is about reveal. God is about to show the world exactly why He chose you. Because chosen ones don't just succeed, they shift things. You don't just break through, you break patterns. You don't just make noise, you move atmospheres. You don't just rise, you resurrect whole bloodlines. You don't just win, you wake people up. You were never ordinary. You were always anointed. This is why people couldn't explain your resilience, why they couldn't figure out why you kept getting back up, why you'd take blow after blow and still walk with peace, why doors that should have stayed shut opened for you anyway. Because when God marks you, no man can unmark you. And now, the world is about to witness what happens when someone who's been hidden in obedience steps into divine visibility. You're not stepping into money, you're stepping into mantle-level movement. And let me tell you something that might shake you a little. You're going to be called to do things that don't make sense to people who weren't assigned your mission. You may be asked to fund something that doesn't benefit your ego. Walk away from safe opportunities that don't align spiritually. Build something that the world doesn't understand yet. Bless people who once doubted you. Say no to quick money to protect long-term purpose. But don't worry, your obedience is your oil. And that oil? It's going to fund more than just your future. It's going to fuel others' freedom. You're going to write the checks that break chains. You're going to back visions that change lives. You're going to be the evidence of what it looks like when God breathes on someone fully prepared. People will say, "How did you do that without connections? How did you make that leap with no roadmap? How did you survive what should have buried you?" And your answer? Because I was chosen. I didn't walk into this. I was sent. Let that sink in. You don't need to chase. You don't need to beg. You don't need to explain. You've already been called. You've already been equipped. And now, you're about to be elevated. Everything you've lost was just making room. Everything that walked away was God's protection. Everything that didn't work out was redirection. Now comes evidence. Evidence that what God starts, He finishes. Evidence that the silent season was sacred. Evidence that, yes, a chosen one can also be wealthy and humble and powerful and generous and dangerous to darkness. You are not average. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to follow trends. You are here to carry fire, to shift rooms, to walk in legacy-level wealth without losing your soul. And no, this isn't for everyone. This is for the one bold enough to believe they were called for more, the one brave enough to hold the mantle without apology. If you're still watching, you already know wit. So now, here we are, after all the pain, after all the isolation, after the long nights with no answers and the days filled with spiritual pressure that most people couldn't understand. You're still standing, and that's not by accident. It's because you're on assignment, because God never wastes a battle, and He surely never wastes a chosen one. Everything you've endured, it was for this. Every tear watered the soil of your calling. Every moment you thought was breaking you, it was building you. Every delay wasn't denial, it was design. And now, you're stepping into divine evidence, evidence that obedience matters, evidence that faith is a currency, evidence that a soul on fire for God can't be stopped, no matter how many times they tried to bury you. The world needs to see this. People are watching you right now, not just because they're curious, but because their spirit knows something about you is real. And this moment, it's not about just feeling good, it's about rising up. It's about claiming your spiritual and financial authority and stepping into your full mantle without apology or delay. So don't stay on the sidelines anymore. You weren't meant to survive. You were meant to lead. You were meant to create, impact, build, uplift, and shake things up. You're not just here to take up space. You're here to shift atmospheres. And if your spirit is resonating with this right now, if you feel something stirring inside you, don't brush it off. That's not hype. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. It's time to take the next step. It's time to